Hey, in this lesson we're going to continue working on the hand. First thing we're going to do is move that image plane down because it's just getting in the way. So now we're kind of free to work on the palm without the image plane blocking us off. So first thing we got to do is get rid of this edge flow. Is not really conducive to the way the muscles are arranged on the palm. We need that fleshy kind of thing that comes out of the thumb, the lifeline or whatever. I don't know what it's called, but there it is. So that's preliminary. I'm gonna have to add a little bit more to it. So now we've kind of almost created an extrusion effect by making cuts. And we don't want to do it that way. So we're gonna go in manually and make those cuts. And that happened. So that was weird. We can just get rid of that pretty easy. Delete the verts and continue cutting. Just going to leave that there for now. We don't have to, we were working on the palm. We don't have to figure out the whole thumb situation right now. Let's just go back to where we were at. Okay. Connect those. And we have two big triangles that are not cool. Especially once this palm starts deforming, so we're going to have to do something about those. But the geometry of the palm looks a lot better. Looks a lot more realistic. And we're going to flesh the palm out a little bit more so it's not so flat. Right now everything's very boxy. And then if you look at your hand from the front, you'll see that it kind of goes in a curve, just like this. You don't want it to just be a totally flat thing. You can always solve that with binding, but I just like to model it into a natural, kind of casual hand shape. Here we go, just move those. And then you can look at the side of your hand for to see how it has kind of it gets fleshier down towards the wrist and thinner up towards the pinky. So we're just adjusting these as we work to make our hand look more realistic. Okay, so you see how our thumb is kind of below our index finger? Or maybe it's not yet, but we gotta make sure it is. Real one is anyway. Okay, so we're just as we're building, we're figuring out how we can make everything quads. The hand is a weird mechanism. It can fold into so many different shapes. I remember Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. That was the one thing about that movie. It was, really realistic CG, but the hands were not convincing, which kind of goes to show you those people were amazing, amazing artists, but then they couldn't quite nail the hands. It kind of shows you that the hand is not the simplest thing to get just right. Okay, so we're twisting the thumb. If you look at your thumb, it does not face sideways. If you try to make it face sideways like it was right there, it doesn't want to do that. It kind of faces 45 degrees out, so that's what we're doing right there. That looks a little bit more natural. We want the edges leading up to it to kind of begin to twist as well. So I was twisting a little bit too much there. Okay, so we're just inspecting this from every angle, making sure that it's looking decent. And then when you go back to the unsmooth view, you see that there's a lot of weird edges sticking out. Now, if you're making this for a game model, then in video games, nothing's going to be smooth like it is here. So you're going to want to it's still kind of the same technique, but you're going to want to work in a little bit of a different way where you're just kind of working with unsmooth geometry. It's going to take a lot longer. And this is like a speed up advantage that we get. Hopefully if you're working in live action, you can take advantage of that kind of speed. If you're working for games, you have a lot more perfection, and you got to be worried about how many polys you're using and stuff like that. Okay, so we're going to put another joint in there. Cool. Just keep adjusting those. When we spun it, it took a little bit of the curve out, so we're going to try and put that back a little bit. And the tip of our thumb is a little bit too pointy. We're going to fix that later as well. But it's looking pretty decent. Yeah, remember, you could just trust your intuition with the hand. If it looks right to you from every angle, chances are it's probably looking good. So we got a pole right there, right in the middle of the thumb, but it's okay. So here I'm creating a crease. And once we create that crease, we can connect the triangle with that pole that was looking weird. And we'll have two quads. And the pole will be in a much less noticeable place. And once we stretch all this geometry out, we're not going to be able to see that pole as much. There we go.